Everybody, welcome to our mental health seminar series. Tonight, I'm joined by Randi Dicus. Randi is one of the most incredible people on the planet. And I say that because Randi loves her community so much. She invests so much time volunteering in so many different aspects of our community. Randi, thank you for being a part of this seminar series with us. Just tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell me what you do. I know you serve with us at For Tomorrow and in so many different other things that you're wrapped up and giving your time to. Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm currently employed at Regions Bank, and we moved here from Florida in 2007, and I was involved in the community in South Florida, and I wanted to be more involved in the community here in Alabaster. And what I decided to do was I joined a group of people for the Alabaster Beautification Board back in 2008, which has gone through some series, but now I'm still with them. So people have changed, come and gone, and I'm still hanging in there.
Yeah.
And I also, being part of Cultivate Church, we were talking, you and I had talked about this program called For Tomorrow, and I was very interested in it because as a parent, my kids are already grown. I have a daughter who is married and has two small kids, and I have a daughter that's not married, but she's in the Army National Guard. And we also, we have to think as a family, and especially me, how do I get my kids through all of this? How do I get them through high school? How do I get them through college? And thankfully, both of them have graduated from college, finally, and they're good. But they also deal with the stress, and especially in mental health. And especially with dealing with COVID over the past 2 years.
Yeah.
Ashley has decided to stay at home as a work from home mom 100%. But and my daughter Jennifer, she traveled back and forth from Montgomery to work, and now is working with us at Regions Bank. But you really have to think about those parents out there that were going to work every single day.
Yeah.
And they had a job to go to, and now they are at home 100%, and they have kids at home because the schools are not, because of COVID. So this whole dynamics has now changed.
Yeah. Well, and that's one thing that Randi, that I appreciated about you in that, the perspective that you said, and I remember you talking about this was, you've raised your family, and now, not grandma, but what are we called?
Gamma, Ganma.
Grandma. Okay.
Gamma.
So now you're saying, okay, you've went through a process with your kids, learned a lot. And I'm assuming even Randi, with your kids growing up, there wasn't as much discussion around mental health and the health of our thinking attached to our emotions, our feelings, and all that it brings. So you mentioned about doing something for the next generation and the kids that are going to grow up, your grandkids now that will grow up. And so that was kind of your driving force, your reason for saying, I want to be a part of doing something. So mental health has, I know, been something that you've been passionate about. And you mentioned 2020. So can you just talk to us maybe just a little bit about, like, from a parent's perspective of raising your kids? I'm sure there's things now that you look back and you can see circumstances or situations to go, oh, we talk about this more now. I can connect it or relate it to our mental health. Can you just speak, like, from a parent watching your kids, what are some things that you notice that you think are pretty important for parents to be aware of while watching their kids grow up?
Well, as I watched my kids grow up, and especially being part of For Tomorrow, and I don't currently have kids in the school system right now, mental health back then was not an issue. It is an issue now. It's very prevalent. But a lot of other issues, substance abuse and all that going through the school systems. Since my daughter has had, two kids, one's only 2, But I'm thinking about the future. I'm thinking about their future. Are they going to make it through school? Is it going to trickle not just down from high school to middle school, but it's going to go into elementary, which I don't
Yeah.
want to? And how do I stop this as a parent? And, all I can say is you need to talk to your kids. You can tell when kids are in school and something happens and they get in the car and they're like, and they don't say anything. They're very quiet.
Yeah.
Something has, their dynamics has changed from the morning perspective to the afternoon.
Okay.
But you have to hone in on it as soon as possible, because if you don't, you let it go, it could just spiral.
Yeah.
And it could spiral in a really bad way. Ashley has reached out while she was in school because she realized her anxiety was too much for her to finish school and get her through school. So she reached out, to a therapist, of course, to talk to. Because, she could talk to me at any time. I just didn't have the qualifications to help her through that process. But we talk after her appointments, we talk about, if she wants to, what we talk about. So I think as we keep our eyes and our ears open to everything that's surrounding us and everything that we have, especially in our community, that can get us through this, mental health, substance abuse, being active in our community, being part of our community, like we have a place where we can do yoga. Yoga is calming.
Sure.
And even with, with in Regents Bank, we have a wellness program. So the wellness program, it gives assistance to parents, people who are dealing with mental health and don't know how to cope with it.
Right. Well, I like that. I think that's important what you said. And I think across the board, especially like when you were talking about the parenting portion of being aware of your kids, their communication, what they're noticing, those little subtle changes that they have, because it's easy to get busy and kind of get, fast paced and got to be here and be there and be at ball and then, do homework and all the things that just come with just the normal routine of life. But to be able to just notice those little changes and then to be able to talk to your kids, that really is important. I think we try to make it pretty complicated sometimes, like we try to figure out the real deep portions of it, but sometimes it's just paying attention and having that open dialogue. And then I like what you said too about, being able to use the resources about the school counselors and all the great resources that are available to get them, a place where they feel comfortable and safe to talk.
Absolutely. Keeping that lines of communication open is the key. My mother-in-law always said that keeping the lines of communication is the key.
Yeah.
Especially in any relationship. It could be your husband and wife. It could be your spouse and someone else. It could be, neighbor to neighbor, or just with your kids.
Yeah.
And your kids are important. You really want them to grow up and respect their environment and their future.
Sure.
And that's what you're looking out for. You're looking out for their future. You want to make sure that they make those right decisions and not, turn the wrong way or whatever. But
yeah.
As being part of the program, I sit there and I listen to you all talk and of the different programs that everybody has. And it's on a student level, and I'm thinking more on a parent level.
Sure. Well, I like that because that's important too. As parents, grandparents, and people who are leading the lives of kids. I mean, our mental health is important as well, because if the more healthy we become, the better we are for everybody, our coworkers, our bosses, our employees. And I like what you said. You were mentioning many different avenues for us adults to be able to have an outlet for, whether that is exercise, which is great. A lot of different things that were good. But one little nugget that you shared that I thought was kind of interesting was you talked about Regions, your employer, having resources and things for specifically to our mental health. And I think that's a good thought for maybe people who are looking for, where can I find resources and what can I do? That I bet many employers have those types of resources that people just don't know about. So I know it's different for everybody, but Randi, like for you to tap into those resources, like at Regions, what would be the process of that? Like, how do they provide that for you? Because maybe somebody watching could kind of follow a similar, path to resources through their employer.
Well, there's an employee assistance program through Regions, which they tell us about it at when we first get hired within Regions, of all the programs that we have, and especially through the month of May, they put it out on our page, our front page of Regions, and they highlight, May is mental health, and they give certain things that you can do, like get enough sleep. Make sure, sleeping is a key, because you got to make sure that you sleep, get the amount of sleep that you need to wake up the next day feeling refreshed and good about yourself, and that always makes you feel good. But if you don't get that sleep and in enough time, you wake up, you're just cranky. They talk about caffeine. Don't drink caffeine a certain amount of hours prior to sleep. So they give you all these little tips in the month of May.
Yeah.
And then they also say they provide a link. So if this is helping you and you want furthermore assistance, you just click on the link, and you reach out. I guess apparently I guess you would probably fill out a form, and then someone would get back in touch with you.
Yeah.
Within a time frame, within a timely, time frame. So I'm pretty sure that's how that works. And, they have wellness programs within Regions too that provide webinars. And if you want, you can just, click on, you've got an hour block, you can just click on the webinar and go through the webinar with them. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of employees out there, especially big corporations, have that.
Yeah.
I don't know how to go about getting it, but
yeah, well, and that's very similar. I worked for Apple for a few years, and we had some incredible resources that also related to our physical health, our mental health. We had resources even for relational health, different things that were happening maybe behind the scenes in family. So so I would encourage all of you who are watching, if you have a company that has those types of resources, to tap into that, to use it. And if you don't have those resources through your employer, we would love to have you contact us so we can give you resources, not only that are great national resources that you can find online, but we have so many incredible resources right here in our city that are available to you. We have so many different organizations that serve this in so many ways. So we would like to make those available to you guys as well. And so, Randi, I appreciate all the information that you've brought. A few things that I noted that I thought were important from our conversation was, one, is the communication is very important, to be able to communicate with those around you about your family's health as well as your own. Also, the ability to slow down a little bit and notice some of those little signs, little warning signs, both in ourselves and with others. And then ultimately use the resources that's around us to take care of ourselves. Find those things that are available to you in order to take care of yourself. So, Randi, thank you for investing time tonight to talk to us and to give us all that insight from the perspective of a mom and a grandma and a employee. And we appreciate what you do through For Tomorrow and through everything else you're involved with.
Thank you. It was a pleasure being part of this.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. We appreciate you spending time with us. Feel free to share this content with everybody that's around you. We would love to be able to reach out, connect with you, have you serve with us at For Tomorrow. Check us out online. We'll see you again soon.